Hey everyone, good afternoon. It is afternoon here in Toronto, and I watch the Mass online. Today I watched the local Mass. Sometimes I watch the Mass from Knock Shrine, depending on when I'm up. If I'm up at 4 a.m., I usually watch the one from there. But today I did the local one. We have our Indian priests that do the Mass, so I like it when they do it because I can relate to them culturally. And I enjoy listening to them because they understand my background, where I'm coming from. And Jesus's culture is very similar to the Indian culture. And the gospel today was very moving because it's true. It's always the people around you that are always putting you down, not having faith in you, telling you, oh, why don't you do it then? And Jesus goes through the same things that we go through. And that's why we fall in love with him, this young rabbi, as he goes about his ministry, because he understands the heart of the people and he understands what we are going through. And we can go to him and talk to him and know that he will hear us and he will, in his generosity, help us in every way that he can. But you'll see that when people don't have faith in you, they're always putting you down, telling you, oh, you can't accomplish anything. Who do you think you are? You'll find that life becomes very, very difficult because they're feeding that into you. They're feeding that into your spirit. They're feeding that into your heart. They're feeding that into your mind. And they do it here in the employment places. Everything you do is wrong. From the way you write your English to the way you talk to the way you dress, there's always a problem. And it's just not just my experience, it's the experience of many of us who come here. And you can talk to Nigerian women, you can talk to Zimbabwean women, you can talk to South African women. The South Africans, at least they support each other. So they always have access, they always look smart. I mean, I look smart, but my smart is not like their smart. I'm never good enough for them with my dress and how I'm dressed. When I worked at Credit Suisse, I had a South African manager, and she said to me, oh, why don't you go down and buy some new clothes? I wanted to say to her, lady, I haven't even got money to buy food. You want me to go and buy clothes? I wanted to tell her, you give me the money and I'll go and buy some clothes. I just kept quiet. I just looked at her. But the readings, I have my own missal. I'll show you the missal I bought. So this is my missal. I don't take it to the church. You can see how big it is. And I bought this, it's done for the UK reading, so the readings are not always the same in terms of how it's written. But I think this follows the Jerusalem Bible reading, so that's what I found. The readings are the same when I read them. But the readings are important because they encourage us. We don't have to fight till the point of sin. Although in Canada, actually, you do. Because it's like with me. For my whole life here, oh, but they're hoping to be friends with you. We women from Zimbabwe are not interested in being your friends in the workplace, especially if we're your executive assistants. They come after you with everything, coordinating it through the police, through the airports, through everything. They can't help you to get that next job, but they're more than happy to help you to commit a sin. It's really something, I'm telling you, living in this country. But the readings are very encouraging because they help us to find God's peace within us, and they help us to persevere and to keep moving forward in our faith life. And then the psalm today was, the love of God is everlasting upon those who hold fear in him. But the gospel was very, very moving because it's very relevant to today. It's very relevant to what we are dealing with and what we are going through in our world. So I would encourage everybody to read. If you can get a copy of the Missal and keep it at home, it's good because, I mean, internet does go down in Canada too. We've had incidents where the internet's gone down. Our hospitals have been affected. Our airports have been affected. Planes have been affected. So I like to keep text at home that I can read. And it's very true. This was from the Gospel of Mark, where people will say, where did this man get all this? They do that to me. Where did she get all this? Who does she think she is? So we can say we are educated people. We know how to read. We pick up the scriptures and we know how to read them. And we know how to interpret them. But it's very hard when you come here from places like Zimbabwe. They don't have any respect for you. Our English is better than theirs. Our pronunciation is better than theirs. Our understanding of the scriptures is closer to the heart of Jesus' message than theirs. But they won't give you that respect. They won't give you that. And that's why very few miracles can happen when there's that kind of doubt. Because they'll always find something. And it's not when it was just me, it was never just me. But when people could only see me going through it, then they're like, yeah, it's her, it must be her. Now there's millions going through it in Canada. Millions, because they won't put Jesus first in this country. They rather support corruption, have lack of border security, have a laugh out loud culture in the banks. And when you do the minutes and things for them, they cross out everything. So why don't they just do it themselves then? They'll take what you give them and they'll word it completely differently. So do it yourself then. Don't hire an executive assistant. Oh, I can't see my flights in my calendar. So what must I do if your calendar is so small? Make it bigger? There's always some criticism. I never had this much problems in England. Never. This is supposed to be a country under King Charles. They're quick to criticize the African leaders. They're worse. They're worse in this country. If they had to deal with what the African leaders are doing, they have to deal with, they couldn't cope. That's the reality. If they had to deal with what some of us have had to deal with, picking up our lives, starting over, 20 years of contract work without pensions, without employment, they would have had nervous breakdowns by now. Today, that conference that I did, not a conference, but the learning I did online, they were saying that Canada, the economy, vaccines contribute 1.9 million to the economy. So they say it's about looking after people, making sure people are well. Half the time, those vaccines, they put them in you because your body has to build an immunity to it. Especially with COVID, what they did was wrong. What they did was wrong. They forced us to take those vaccines. They were not tested properly. They didn't have an incubation period. And COVID was man-made. It started in a lab somewhere. So, I mean, I don't support it. I don't support, you can educate people and you can let them make their own choices, not do what this government is doing to us. It's wrong. Forced psychiatric assessments, forced treatment, even that counseling that I took through the church. I wasn't going to do it, but my doctor said it's better if you do it, and I'm keeping the records because if they come back to us with anything, I want them to know that you held your end of the deal. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And they were saying it was my family and my sister. It wasn't my family. It wasn't my sister. So they should find out who exactly they were accusing my family. It wasn't my family that was telling everybody that Eddie liked me. Because I'm sick of it. I was accused of lying to the police a very serious offense because other people wouldn't tell the truth. And how many cases, even yesterday there was a case on the news of somebody that signed a statement pleading he was guilty because he didn't have a choice. Just like me. So in the end I said, okay, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was my family. Because I got sick of it. I asked my sister, I said, they're saying it's you. They're saying it's you, Anita. And she's like, I don't know anything. I don't know what they're talking about. So I don't know who this Anita is that's claiming to be my family. I said it before and I'll say it again. They're not my family. Even all those people I worked with at TD, at RBC, at CIBC, they're not my family. They are not my family and they are not my friends. And they don't care about me. If they had cared about me, they would have gotten me into another executive assistant job or an HR job right away when I left TD. And a good paying job, paying over $70,000 a year. Because that's what they were telling the outplacement firms. They were the ones who were telling the outplacement companies, we don't have the budget to pay her what she should be earning. She should be earning over $70,000 a year. So why didn't they do it? Why didn't they do it? You think they lived in poverty? They don't live in poverty. They had big homes here, big properties in Toronto, with movie theaters inside them, and swimming pools and everything else. Sometimes here in Canada, the houses, because of the weather, unlike where I live, we have the rooftop pool. They don't have that. They have the indoor pool. So there's a lot of apartment buildings, even just normal apartments without the washer dryer inside, where they'll have the swimming pool in the basement. Now you don't know, from the outside you look at that building and you think, oh, what a crummy building, what a crummy house. And then when you go inside, you see what's inside that house. They all did well for themselves. Not one of them cared about what was happening to my life. I used to inform them. I used to write to them via LinkedIn, via email. I used to tell people to tell them what was happening to me, to my family. None of them cared. Not one of them. So, and then they want to criticize the black leaders. Today, what did Justin Trudeau post for his daughter? When he traveled, he always took Sophie Trudeau with him and the children on all these international trips. So they mustn't go and criticize the African leaders, because they do the exact same thing. Now they want to have a summit about this problem at the border. Why didn't they do it long ago? Now, because Donald Trump is saying that there's a problem, now they want to have a summit and waste taxpayers' money. The same way they told Dr. Lazarus Chakwera that he should just have had a conference call. They should have a conference call. This MP that's running here, or he's not an MP yet, but one of the Liberals is running in my area, and he's having a continental breakfast, and then everybody's going to go out to knock on doors. It's a waste of money. When I went with Marco Mendocino, they didn't do anything for us. They didn't even take us out for a coffee to say thank you. We did it. We were the ones who were generous in helping them with our time, with our efforts, because we hoped things would get better. But everything is the opposite. Everything is the opposite. So they're quick to criticize our African leaders. That's why now I'm telling them I'll go home. I'm sick of it. Oh, but you're such a good worker. You're so highly qualified. Look at the education you got in Canada. You didn't help me to get it. So go stuff yourself. You didn't help me to get it. I did it on my own. I worked and studied. And I got that education by God's grace. And I'm using it to build up not only Canada, but America, Africa, Spain, a lot of different places. I help Rafa Nadal. I help Novak Djokovic. I help Federer. So yeah, carry on criticizing my English. Carry on when I send you the minutes, crossing everything out. Do it yourself then. Really and truly. And find me somebody to work with who will appreciate me and appreciate my values and my life and my family, instead of accusing us of lying to the police. It's disgusting. Really and truly. Really and truly, it's too much. Everybody comes here, even all the Nigerian girls I worked with, they're like, Belinda, we didn't expect Canada to be like this. But things are so bad at home, we can't go back. So Canada could have done more with the drought that hit the SADC region. Canada could have done more. We didn't have to go into a place where millions of us are using food banks. It's so depressing staying at home the whole time, sending out thousands of applications, and you can't get any work. Or you get work and it's minimum wage. You can't even cover your rent and your bills on that minimum wage. They increased the minimum wage by, what, to $17.80? You think people can afford to buy homes on that? The homes cost millions in Toronto. Canada's a laughing stock now. If they want to deport us, they can deport us. We'll all go. Legal and illegal will go. They should deport Rishi Sunak also from the UK, if that's the case. Because those of us who came here legally are not getting the support, we're not getting the help, we're not getting the good paying jobs. And I didn't come here a year ago or 2 years ago. I came here in 2002. It's a long time. It's a long, long, long time. They didn't want to fix the problems. That's why they didn't fix it. Now he wants to have a summit. He doesn't want to recall the parliament, but he wants to have a summit. And he's still enjoying his life going partying with his ministers, wearing blackface. The racism is too much. And the Quebecois, they're the ones who get all the benefits. When they implement things to cut the costs for the phones, for the internets, they do it for them first. They do it for them. And what about the rest of us? It's not the way it looks from the outside. It's not. Oh, but we just need someone for a month. So get your white person to come in for a month. Get your white people to come clean your floors and do your windows and everything and stand in the cold. Don't call me for those jobs. Call me for the jobs that are paying well, over $70,000 a year, and where I can use my skills and education and provide for myself. Call me for those jobs. No, don't call me for jobs where I'm expected to sit on the phone and people are screaming at me and shouting at me and yelling at me and tell me, oh, you need to show some compassion. Zimbabweans don't do that. When our packages don't arrive and we don't get things, we don't call customer service and scream at them and yell at them. So go screw yourself. Because that's how you expect us to be treated. But if they had to do it to you, to your families, you would be up in arms. Because you know why? In the call center, there's no white people. There's only brown people, black people, and yellow people. That's why. They should put all the whites in the call centers. And they should have sent Bharat Masrani and Riaz Ahmed and John de Gagne and all of them to work in the call centers. That's what they should have done, so that they can learn how it feels. Because they didn't have to. And Bharat Masrani, he fled politically for his life. Did he do anything? I asked him so many times for help. Did he help me and my mom? No, he didn't. Because a white man put him in that position. He helped the whites. You go and read on LinkedIn. The whites are all praising him and thanking him. What did he do for us, for our communities? Nothing. It's really a tragedy. when somebody like me can't get a decent job. It's a tragedy. And as for these churches and all that are protesting about USAID and blah, 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 they're the ones who supported apartheid all the years. They always toot for the poor. Oh, we're helping the poor, we're helping the marginalized, we're educating people. But they're getting all the land, they're getting all the property, they're getting to travel, they're getting to go on trips to France and to America. And what are they doing for the rest of us, for the lay people who are spiritual directors? They're not helping us. They're not doing anything. And the American public are sick of it. That's why they're supporting Trump. Because they're like, where's our money going? And there was a woman on the news complaining that I got 2 days of health care left and I don't know what I'm going to do. Lady, wake up. There are some of us who have had no health care from the time we were children. I've had 8 years of health care in my life in Canada. 4 years at TD and 4 years at Teleperformance, and that was the basic. So they're complaining, yet they're living large. No, I don't think so. They should learn to be generous, truly generous, and not people in love with money. They're in love with the money. That's why everything's like this now, all over the world. That's why. It's awful. It's an awful situation. Really and truly. I tweeted to Prince Charles and to Princess Catherine and to the King and Queen now. She's not my queen, Camilla, but I like Diana. But I tweeted to them and I told them, Canada is going to hell. And he's our king. What's he doing? The embassy in Zimbabwe, the Canadian embassy, is boasting about how they're helping Ukrainians. Do you think Zimbabweans care about that? They want to know how you're helping Zimbabweans, not how you're helping Ukrainians. What are you doing for the war child survivors in Zimbabwe? What are you doing for people like me? UNICEF called me one day and they're like, oh, we need some money. There's these children and those scars from the war, they last a lifetime and it's so hard for them. I said, you know what? You're selling a sob story because I'm a war child survivor and I'm a graduate of U of T and I worked and studied to get to where I am. So I'm not interested in your sob story. I got so angry with them. I got so sick of it. Really and truly. And they get all the Indians to come work in the call center. There was an Indian woman that called me. Even yesterday with the scam from Amazon. It was an Indian man that did it. Not that scams don't happen anywhere else, like in Britain or wherever. But I'm tired of it. And good people like me get nowhere. Get nowhere. There's no compassion from the banks, from the financial institutions, from the healthcare providers. They didn't say to me, oh yeah, you know what, you make your own choice and that's fine, we'll support you on it. You're talking to an educated woman, not a stupid person. Seriously. Today I did the case study on Boaz and Ruth. And so the reading, if you want to do it, the case study, it was Ruth 2, 1 to 18. And the question for reflection, it was, in the passage, was Boaz simply obeying God or was he being generous? So he was doing both, because he was being generous to Naomi because she was his relative, and he was allowing Ruth to collect the wheat from the fields. And he was blessed. So for him to be a blessing to others, for him to be generous was good. The second question I already answered. Why do you think Boaz acted the way he did? Because he was obeying God's law and he wanted to help his relatives. He wanted to show his generosity to them and his kindness and to protect them from the men. Because it is in the passage. And the men today are like that. Unless you have somebody protecting you, they always want to touch you, they lean over you, they breathe on you. So because Ruth had that protection, the men left her alone. And many of us go through it. We get sick of the Canadians and the people that we work with. Oh, we just want to be your friend. It's like, go to hell. We don't want to be your friend. Just leave us alone to work in peace, please. So Boaz was generous with his protection, with his time, with the family, and they were provided for. Our laws in Canada don't protect us. They say, oh, human rights, human rights. But keep your hands to yourself and keep your breath to yourself. We don't want you coming up to us and leaning over us when we're your executive assistants. Treat us with respect. Many of us have master's degrees. And then the third question, what do you think Boaz's laborers thought of his actions? Would their esteem of him have risen or fallen because of what he did? Why? So his laborers would have loved him for it, because they would have seen his generosity, his protection for a woman on her own, for looking after Naomi, his kindness, and he was a landowner. So they would have respected him for his generosity to Naomi and Ruth. If he had done the opposite and let them rape her or destroy her family, destroy their whatever they were trying to do, they would have hated him. You look at today, people hate Justin Trudeau. They hate him. When he goes out to places, they throw stones at him. They don't like him because he's destroying families. Not only his own, but ours as well. He's destroying this country. This country is rich, that he's destroying it. People can't get good paying jobs. People who are cheating, taking their phones on the floor, using drugs. He wants to accommodate them and give them the good jobs. And this racism in the law, in the justice system, it's rampant. They were going to put me in jail. They accused me of an offense. I didn't lie about anything. Just because other people don't want to tell the truth doesn't mean I lied. If the US hadn't caught those drug cartels with TD, do you think that TD would have owned up to it? Do you really think they would have? They wouldn't. How do you not know when somebody is like in your branch and they're laundering money and they're using gift cards? How do you not know, especially when it's millions? Do you think they didn't know? Because their culture is don't take it too seriously. What's the big deal? We're fixing it. That's their culture. I get tired of it. And even when you work for them as an executive assistant, you can't get their time. You're supposed to be their right-hand person. You can't even get 5 minutes to sit down with them, to have a conversation with them, to get to know them. They only want to get to know the executive team. That's not the way I've been treated when I was trained as an executive assistant. It's not the way I was treated in England, in Zimbabwe, in South Africa. I came here because I wanted to be close to family. How often do I get to see my family? I never have any damn money to make the trips to go to family gatherings. I haven't been to any of the weddings in the family. I haven't been to any of the big gatherings because I live in poverty. I have all the right values, I do all the right things, and I still end up in poverty because it's coordinated. It's coordinated and the French always come out on the top. They always come out on the top because the church supports them. I'm sick of it. They want to deport me, they must deport me. I will happily take my clothes, my whatever paintings I have here of Elvis, I'll happily relocate. Happily. They can take me to Cape Town, or they can take me to Joburg, or they can take me back to one of the tourist areas in Zimbabwe. They can take me to Botswana. They can take me. Because my life has been wasted here. It's been completely wasted. And I'm glad the stories are coming out about the injustice here in this country and how people go to jail. Innocent people go to jail. Why? Because the executive at the top all cover for each other. I'm glad that Baron Masrani actually apologized. But again, people like me had to call for it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it. And why is Justin Trudeau still sitting there? He resigned, so he should go. Why don't they choose another leader that they put in his place? He's still using our taxpayers' dollars. Does he think I can buy a house on 1780 hourly wages? Is he crazy? I'm tired of this. If there's an opportunity to go home and work with the black leaders, I will take it and I'll go. Even my friends told me, Jay and Colleen Velleman, they said, I hope you get a job with the government, then you can come back and we can all be together. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. All the weight I retain and everything, I hardly eat. I eat 700 calories a day. 700 to 1,500 if I get very hungry. It's all the stress. They're killing me. Just like they're killing all of the African diaspora. You think they care? They're happy. They're making their millions. They're not generous. How many times did I put out my link for my GoFundMe? And how many people have contributed to it? Maybe 6 or 7. How many times did I ask the church, the sisters, the nuns, the bishops, the priests? Did I get any help? None. But everybody I helped got help. They got their children into Catholic schools. They got them involved in bingo. They got them involved in going out, meeting people. What did they do for me? Nothing. Absolutely bullshit. So if they want to deport me, they must deport me. I will go. Because wherever I land, God will be with me. Jesus will always be with me. What they're doing to me here is wrong. And they know it. But they're not willing to change it. That's the problem.